Hello, everyone. I am going to tackle a little bit of a controversial topic here in terms of a tarot, and that is decks that you hate. This idea actually came, I was listening to one of Simon's live chats from Simon from the Hermit's Cave, and there was the discussion in terms of the decks that we used when we first started out, if we're still using them and why not. And I was thinking about my first deck, which was the Mythic Tarot, and that I still use it and I still love it. And that kind of like took me on a different tangent on decks that I hate. Hate is a strong word. I don't know if I actually hate a particular deck. Let's just say decks that you connect with versus the decks that you don't. And you know that feeling when you get a deck and you thought you were going to love it, you get it in the mail, you open it, and then you realize that you really you don't connect with it. And I have kind of realized something, that in terms of what I like nowadays, I never would have known that I liked that type of style if I didn't dislike some of the decks that I got. I never would have started actually illustrating decks at all. The only reason I did was because I was trying to make my own deck something that would speak specifically to me and that I didn't find out there yet. So here I am, years later, and I have a number of decks that I made. But even so, even after I create them, I always want to make something different, something that will speak to me more. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the best teacher I have found are the decks that I don't like. And the reason for that is because I actually learn something about myself each time I get a deck and I don't connect with it. I realize why I'm not connecting with it. If I see a particular card that I don't like the way it was depicted, it makes me think, what do I like? What does that card say to me? Why don't I like this death card, for instance? Why don't I like the tower card in this deck? Why don't I like the lover's card? It's because I have something inside of me that tells me what I would connect with. And if I was always presented with images that I loved, I don't think I would have learned so much in terms of my interpretation of the cards and evolved in a way that I think enriched me and enriched my practice. So the next time you see a deck or you receive a deck that you do not like or that does not connect with you, find the cards that really put you off and think to yourself, why is that? Because there's something there that needs to be explored. And if you're going to only find decks that you love, you're never going to learn anything. You're always going to be kind of within that frame, and this is a spiritual tool and you're supposed to evolve with it. And just like in life, you go through different experiences where some are easy, some are hard. We tend to learn more from the harder experiences in life. So the decks that you receive, that for instance, there's a style that you don't like. I work in watercolor. Maybe somebody hates watercolor. Maybe they prefer, collage decks. Why do you prefer collage decks? Think about it. Why don't you like watercolor? Is it just the style of watercolor, or is it because it's more fluid? It's not as precise. Are you precise in your readings? Is that why you like, for instance, photographic decks where you actually see pictures? And that'll tell you something about your own method of reading. Do you like abstract decks? And so on and so on. In terms of depiction of the cards, each artist or creator, right? If you are not an artist and you create your own deck and you hire somebody to illustrate it, you still have an idea in your head. Each creative individual is going to have a particular symbol or is going to translate his or her interpretation of that card through a visual image, because that is something that speaks to them, and based on their acquired knowledge, that is something that makes sense to them. If it does not make sense to you, you have to think, what exactly would make sense to you? If you're somebody who, for instance, has had got stung by a bee, for instance, right? And that is something that is very frightening to you. You will not want to see a bee in that work of art. And so if you see, for instance, the bee in an Ace of Pentacles, it will say something to you, right? You're not going to like that. It's not going to bring you fuzzy feelings of prosperity. It's going to instill probably a negative reaction in you. And that is the moment where you have to think and say, I'm getting this because of my personal experience. And if that's the case, how would you illustrate that? And what exactly can you deduct from the fact that you no longer like bees, for instance? Maybe you need to work with that. Maybe that's something that, you need to realize that they're not all going to sting you. I'm just throwing that out there. In any case, I found the decks that I prefer are more pictorial in nature, less photographic. I guess in a way, less precise. Maybe it's a personality thing. Maybe I don't like precise things. I tend to be more of a impulsive nature, so that to me makes sense. In terms of reading and what exactly does each card mean to you, regardless of what you read in books, you're always going to make your own deductions and interpretations. And based on the cards that fall next to those, it is going to create a new narrative or new storyline. So I think I just realized that my best teachers were the decks that I received that I didn't like. So next time you receive a deck that you do not like and you plan on not working with, but you just want to give it away, maybe to somebody who will appreciate it, take each card and see what you don't like. Think about it and understand what exactly turns you off. And if you were to say, talk to that artist or somebody who created the deck, what would you say? Like, how would you change that? I think if you view them as teachers, you might get more from decks than you think. So anyway, I hope that was a little new thing for you. Let me know in your comments if you think the same, if you disagree with me, what you've found with other decks, and hope you're all having a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.